What required documentation do you need to have on you as remote pilot in command? Hey everyone, Jason Schappert here with RemotePilot101.com, and I wanted to give you another great sneak peek into our course, RemotePilot101.com. A great ground school to help you pass that FAA Part 107 knowledge test. The topic today is required documentation. There's what the FAA requires for you, the remote PIC, pilot in command, what they require for your small UAS, what should be logged from a time standpoint, from a maintenance standpoint, and really just protecting ourselves from the legality of it all. Let's go ahead and let's play that clip from the ground school in its entirety. What documentation do you, the remote pilot in command, need to have on you? What proof do you need to have that, yes, I'm maintaining this unmanned aircraft? What if the FAA came to you and did an on-site field inspection? Would you be ready to prove that your operation is airworthy and operating and exceeding 107 standards and guidelines? That's what we're going to talk about here now. There's really four parts to this here with required documentation. We have number one, the FAA required pilot certificate, aircraft registration, and any necessary waiver or exemption. And then this is interesting, other documentation related to the operation. I always worry when the FAA puts something in regulatory standards like this and gives a lot of gray area like other documentation related to the operation. But it could be back to what we talked to about knowing our surroundings. Prove to me how you know you're in this airspace. How did you calculate this? I mean, anything they deem as required documentation that falls into the other category. That's the scary part. But the three big ones we can control. Do you have your pilot certificate? So after you take and complete this course and you go to that knowledge testing center and you just knock it out of the park and get 100%, well, we're going to work and get it submitted to the FAA. You're going to get a hard pilot certificate. So you'll have that. That will need to be on you when exercising privileges of a remote pilot in command. That other one there is aircraft registration. So when you get your ID number, you have that paperwork for that aircraft registration. That needs to be actually with the unmanned aircraft or with you. You're starting to think probably, I need a gear bag that I need to put all this legal documentation into just to cover myself in the event of that field inspection. And then any necessary waiver or exemption, well, if you're operating under a waiver, you certainly need to have that with you to prove that you're doing what you're doing legally. Two is repair. Well, if you were to do your own work on this UAS, you need to document any repair, modification, overhaul, or replacement of a system component resulting from normal flight operations. Anything. I'm going to document it when I swap a prop out or a prop guard out or make some sort of different or even what might seem to you an easy, minute change. I want to document any repair, modification, or overhaul or replacement of a component that happens. And I want to document that in some sort of maintenance logbook. Now, number three talks about logging time as well. I need to be logging maintenance time for my UAS and logging time for me, the remote pilot in command as well. This is really all about covering all your bases. Forbid you had an accident. You're flying for maybe the biggest realtor in town. And geez, you just have an accident, and who are they going to come after? Well, they're going to come after you, and they're going to come after that biggest realtor in town because that's how our legal system works these days. And the first thing they're going to say is, how do we know this person is a safe UAS pilot? You're going to say, well, I maintain them to the standards of my manufacturer and beyond. And here's the documentation to prove that. I log every hour that I fly to prove that I'm not only a current pilot, but I'm a proficient pilot as I exercise that remote PIC responsibility. I have all my required documentation and share with them all these items. This whole lesson here is really about covering all the bases, forbid something were to happen here. 3 says to log time, and it's to record the time in service for that component at the time of the maintenance procedure and assess these records over time to establish a reliable maintenance schedule for the SUAS and its components. Have a maintenance schedule. If your manufacturer doesn't provide one, you need to come up with one. I'm logging maintenance and I'm logging my time as well. 4 is my unique ID, the unique identifier that is readily accessible and visible upon inspection of the small unmanned aircraft. Remembering that it has to be visible, easily accessible without the use of tools. So you can put it in something as long as people can see it and access it without having to use a tool. Now let's go back to this idea of logging for a bit. What to put in your log. So I want to put my small unmanned aircraft registration number, the control station I departed from. By the way, this is a log for yourself. You, the pilot, to prove your currency, to prove your proficiency. I'm going to write down the unique ID number of the UAS I was flying, of the control station or the area I departed from, the launch and recovery equipment used, the data link equipment used, the payload if I was flying any, and any other components required to safely operate that small UAS. It can be kept electronically. The FAA says all these things can be kept electronically. Even your pilot certificate, it says. So as of this recording right now, you could essentially just take a picture of all these items and keep them on your phone to prove it that way. Doesn't mean I'd still have paper with me, to prove, especially that hard certificate. Just keep it in your wallet. But things like my logs don't have to be manually written out. This can all be done electronically as well. So some homework for you is to walk away from this going, okay, let's make an Excel spreadsheet for maintenance. Let's make an Excel spreadsheet for my flight time, and let's keep up with it. And let's make sure it's accessible on my tablet, on my computer, wherever it may be, so I could print it out or prove it to somebody in the actual field is what's important with that one. Now, this, by the way, is straight from the FAA. Careful record keeping can be highly beneficial for small UAS owners and operators. For example, record keeping provides essential safety support for commercial operators who may experience rapidly accumulated flight operational hours and cycles. Consider making a hard copy and/or electronic logbook of all periodic inspections, maintenance, preventative maintenance, repairs, and alterations performed on the small UAS. This is not Jason saying this. This is the FAA saying, hey, maintain some records here, because we need you to prove if there were to be an insurance claim or whatever it may be, you need to cover all the bases. Your pilots need to be logging time, and you need to be logging maintenance of all your small UAS aircraft, guys. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. I'll see you in the next one. See ya. If you still need to pass your Part 107 knowledge test, you've come to the right place. If you enjoyed that video, you're going to love the dozens of other great videos inside the course. Visit remotepilot101.com to learn more. It's one flat fee. The course is yours for life. So as you need to stay current, if you need to retake that test come 2 years from now, that login will still work. The course is yours. remotepilot101.com. Go check it out, and I'll see you in the course. See ya.